Good evening.
As you're entering, make sure to hit the like button, guys.
We are Penn State. Motherland was just that. It was the motherland. It was absolutely incredible.
Except it was more of his fatherland instead of the motherland.
Mcx, former home of Beretta, Texas.
Let's give it a couple minutes and then we'll kick off into questions. For the Rain Man roll call, yes.
I love seeing where
we
everybody's.
appreciate you signing in.
I love seeing where everybody's from.
Hopefully you guys have missed us. It's been about 3 weeks. We have missed
2XL.
you.
God, my dad would be smiling if he saw me wearing a Penn State shirt.
My father-in-law was a huge Penn State.
He has Penn State on. My parents have a gravestone near State College, and my dad actually has a Penn State. It says "We are Penn State" on their gravestone.
Yeah. When his grandfather Nono came over to this country, they went to Pennsylvania, and my father-in-law, grew up in Pennsylvania and wanted to go to Penn State, and even received a scholarship to play football there. But his mother, didn't believe in going to school for football, so she kind of forced his hand to say no. Italian mother, and I think it was one of his biggest life regrets is not going. So he supported to the very end Penn State.
New Jersey.
I'm a Longhorn girl myself, but Aggies are always welcome. I have a friend whose two sons are on the Aggies band, and she is extremely proud of them, as she should be.
NFL. Or Florida. Okay. It was interesting being able to talk to some of the Italian Esercito, which is the Italian army, and we had all the Carabinieri and all the local police and local security in Italy. Definitely felt safe.
Dylan says, "Hey, hope things are going well with school and my work. Being short-staffed at the gun shop that I work at, I don't really get to watch the channel anymore, but I'm still a supporter." Oh, that's
Thank
so
you so much.
Hopefully you'll be able to find some time to watch. We appreciate you, Dylan. Yeah, I think everywhere is short-staffed, and I know we're feeling, YouTube already, cuts us off at the knees when it comes to making money and commissions and things like that, and we rely on donations, and everybody's feeling it, and our donations are less than usual, but everybody's just trying to survive out there. We do have an item left on smallarmsolutions.com if you would like to go check it out. I can't say what it is, but if you go to the channel, or the website, you'll be able to figure it out. We're going to kick it off and get going. I have some questions that were submitted earlier tonight. If you guys would like to donate tonight, you can do that by using the $ and attaching your question, or if you just want to make a donation during the chat, we'd appreciate that as well. Google does take 30%, so we do prefer Donor Box because they only take about 3% of your donations. I'm popping the link in there right now, but you can also go to smallarmsolutions.com and find that link on the page underneath the item for sale that we have up. And it'll be the same thing. I'll get an email. I have my phone right here, and you'll get to cut the line of questions that are coming in. We don't just take paid questions, but we rely on them to support the channel and keep us going. And you'll get a guaranteed response and priority over all the questions coming in tonight. So we did open it up earlier. So we have a few questions first that we're going to answer, and then I'll go back up into it and I'll start grabbing questions that have already been rolling in as we've been talking. James on Donner Box wants to know, do you think armors courses are worth it for the hobbyist? I'm thinking about taking a Glock armors and AR-15 armors course for fun.
A Glock armors course, yes. The AR course, you may be disappointed because most armor schools are to maintain military weapons. You're not going to learn how to put all your wild accessories on there, your different rails. They're not build schools. These are ones how you were to take factory rifles and maintain them for military and law enforcement use. So it's a lot of repetition, taking apart, putting back together. I, the course that I taught, the people who were non-military, non-law enforcement, they sort of had a harder time with being able, having to do the repetition of taking it apart, and they're asking a lot of questions about aftermarket parts, which is that's not really what an armor's. If you could find a school that actually taught build how to build your own rifle, that's different than an armor's course.
James on Donor Box. Thank you, James. If you were doing your first AR build, is there anything you would not do? For example, I'm afraid of staking anything because I might have to go back and fix a mistake. Also, I don't want to torque the buffer tube too much because I might have to unscrew it from the receiver.
No, you don't have to torque the barrel extension or receiver extension. It doesn't have to be staked. That's a military spec, but it's not something that has to be done. So you don't have to worry about that. But you should torque them down to the proper specifications. You would be able to take it apart if you needed to. So don't worry about that. You do torque to proper specifications. The only things that you actually stake are the receiver extension nut and the carrier key. And the carrier key, as long as that's torqued right, you don't have to worry about staking that either. But don't worry about staking receiver extension.
Mark on Donor Box. How much coin would it take to manufacture a Valmet clone?
Oh, you start looking at the cost of the steel forgings, actually it would be relatively expensive to gear up for something like that, because even though that it's relatively simple to manufacture, you have the raw materials, machining those down. uh, it would be cost prohibitive to build those here. There's no question it would be very cost prohibitive to build those here.
I'm looking at an AR that weighs 5.25 pounds. Would the felt recoil of Supersonic 300 Blackout be too much? Would I be better off getting the rifle in 5.56?
It depends on what you want to do with it. The reality is 5.56 is a hell of a lot cheaper to shoot than 300 Blackout. So if it's a budgetary issue, absolutely go with the 5.56. The 300 Blackout, if you're shooting subsonic, it's excellent. Supersonic, there's not really much of a benefit, going with an AK, 7.62 which is a hell of a lot cheaper to shoot. I probably would say 5.56 unless you're shooting subsonic with a suppressor.
Kirk on Donor Box. He has a series of questions. Hopefully, you'll be able to sum it all up together. It's about Colt CR's line of rifles. He says that to reduce overhead, Colt is now assembling rifles from subcontractors. Does it matter if Colt makes parts in-house in Connecticut or via subcontractor if it is all made pursuant to the TDP? And are Colt subcontractor parts fabricated pursuant to the TDP? Isn't most of the gun industry inbred anyhow? Other companies making guns or gun parts for others. Is it inside Colt or outside Colt parts making relevant as to quality of build?
Well, first of all, if Colt's outsourcing the parts, um, for them to be made to the Colt specifications, they would have to bring those parts into Colt and then go through all the batches and stuff. Their metrology lab and have a severe amount of quality control. The parts that I'm seeing, like bolt carriers, that's how they come from Microbust. Many companies use the exact same parts. Um, the way they're cutting back on those costs is going to be in the quality control, and it's going to be in the manufacturing costs. They're not going to put the same amount of quality control into a commercial rifle that they did when they were building military rifles. So I highly doubt that the parts that you're seeing are made to that same standard. A lot of those parts are COTS parts as well. You'll see rails that are from other companies, pistol grips that are from other companies, stocks that are from other companies. The upper receiver, the forgings, those obviously are not coming out of Colt forgings. Colt forgings will have the C on them, and they'll have the M4 on them. The stuff that I'm seeing is just hit or miss. Some of them it's marked correctly. That certainly is military parts that they can use for military contracts. Other parts, these parts are not suitable for use in military guns. Front side bases that aren't marked F aren't suitable for non-military guns. Bolt carriers that aren't marked with the cage code, that stuff's not suitable for military use.
And last submitted question is from Steve on Donor Box. Thank you, Steve. How much of a problem or danger is a tight, short, head-spaced AR chamber?
You can experience overpressure. I would, if you're dealing with something like that, take a look at those cartridge cases. Look for high pressure signs, flattened primers, pierce primers. Um, if it doesn't pass the headspace gauges, don't fire it.
What design changes would Ruger need to make to the Model 57 to compete with Epin 5.7 as a serious duty service pistol?
I think it's just as good. I don't think they have to do anything to it. Quite frankly, I think that I preferred the Ruger over the FN. I think the Ruger is much better built. It's strong. It's a stronger pistol. Um, its trigger's not as nice. They can improve the trigger on it a little bit. Overall, I think a Ruger is a much better choice than the FN.
Hey, Adnan.
And
He wants to know how our trip. It was great, beautiful. And somebody else asked, what did the forces carry in Italy?
well, the Saraceno, which is the Italian army, were carrying ARX 160s. Interesting enough, they were mostly the 10 or 12-inch barrel. I'm not sure. After seeing a lot of those, I've decided I got a hold of Beretta. They're going to send me one of the 10-inch short barrels, and I'm going to end up registering mine as an SBR. So you're going to be seeing a review on the RX 100 with the military issue barrel on it. Now, for as far as pistols, Carabinieri, the Saraceno, as well as the local police, all Beretta 92s. Some of the special forces guys were carrying the APXs, Beretta's polymer frame. But the Beretta 92 FS, that was the dominant pistol that everybody had.
Yeah, I took a picture and posted it. We were at a restaurant one night. The backstory is we've been planning to go to Italy for our 20th anniversary for probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years. We always said our 20th, but COVID got in the way of a planned trip that we had. So we were able to reschedule and it worked out and it was great. Trip of a lifetime, amazing. But I took that photo of, if you guys are on our Facebook or if you're not, you should go over to Small Arm Solutions. I'm not sure if I posted on Instagram or not. It was just a quick little thing that I posted. He was private security, and it was hilarious when Glock was mentioned. It was just like detest. It was like he Beretta all the way.
Disgraziale.
And he didn't speak fluent English. He maybe had 15% English, and I have maybe 1% Italian, if even. But you understood each other, and it was really funny.
And we didn't really have too much of a problem communicating. Well, she's looking for some
I
questions
have
here.
one.
Oh,
Would you buy 2 Daniel Defense BCGs or 1 Geisley BCG for the same price? Is the Geisley worth it?
no.
You go ahead and say what you want to say.
We have a lot of interesting stuff on the way here. I just got one of the PSA ARV 9mm pistols that uses the CZ magazine. I just got some guns in from Beretta. I got the 92X Centurion and the brand new M9A4. Unfortunately, the M9A4 does not have any of the mount optics mounting plates. I have to wait for those to come in before I can really do the review on it. I've got coming in one of the Zastava 5.56 rifles. I even contacted the guys over at AutoMag about getting one of the 44 Auto Mags in, which I'm really excited about. I ordered a couple of guns from Springfield Armory, one of their new 1911 types, and trying to get their new high power. I have a rifle coming in from from Santan Tactical, a complete rifle, as well as some stuff coming in from Radian. So I've been quite busy trying to get stuff together, and we still have the Springfield oh my god, my brain's fried. The Springfield XD Tactical. We still got that one coming too. So we have a lot of really cool stuff coming up.
And I will be halting all filming next week because we will be filming JFK next week. So that should be interesting to get ready to post that on the anniversary of the assassination, which I believe is the 22nd.
That's going to be a big challenge for both of us.
It's a big challenge. So we're going to need a full week to really focus on that and film that. We have a whole new lighting kit and green screens and a lot of information, and we will be working on that solely next week. So videos will be sparse in the coming days. Please bear with us while we try to navigate this task of getting that out. I will be offering a special for Patreon members. I haven't firmly locked it up yet, but if you're at our $10 Patreon level, you will get access to all 3 videos before their actual premiere dates, and which will be in November. And I'm still playing with maybe a $20 level where you would be able to kind of Netflix it, if you will, where you get all 3 at once. You know how we are in these days where you have Hulu and Netflix and all that. You just kind of want all of it now, and you don't want to have to wait. So I'll have maybe an extra tier for people that just want all 3 parts right now, and they don't want to have to wait, however many weeks they have to do that. And it's a great way to support the channel and our endeavors and, the costs of putting these things together. Because I know somebody asked, how will we be able to watch it? Will it be paid? No, it won't be paid. But it's a great way to support if you kind of want that information before. And then after next week, after the JFK week, then we'll go back into regular gun filming.
Another thing I want to address, which I know is going to come up, is about the Colt recall for the bad hammers. I want to say hats off to Colt for doing the recall. Many companies will, even though they know there's problems, they don't want to damage their reputation, so they don't act on it. The fact that Colt is doing the recall and they're dealing with that, it's an absolute hats off to them for taking care of their customers and putting their safety first. So it's a good thing.
Dad says, will you be watching Tiger King 2 or the Book of Boba Fett in December? First of all, I don't know. I haven't heard about the Book of Boba Fett, but Tiger King will be a must watch in our house.
Bank on it.
That was the best part of 2020, especially during COVID days. It was like lockdown.
Actually, the best part of 2020 was Cobra Kai season 3. But
I'm going to beg to differ, but
in Cobra Kai season 4, December 31st, season 4.
I know where I'll be on New Year's Eve, and that'll be alone. Can you speak more about the extractor guard button? Where can I find that set up for an AR build?
Extractor guard button. So where's that at?
The extractor guard / buffer.
Are you referring to the springs? Or are you referring to the extractor guard, which is the button that goes over the extractor it's in the barrel extension that works for overpressure?
Michael, that's your question. If you want to hammer down on it, I'll pull it.
Yeah.
Is Caracal still making the 816? I haven't seen them in a while.
Caracal has been posting recently their factory going up. They're putting together benches and bringing in machines. So yes, it will. They're building a factory as we speak right now. So yes, they are there. It's coming. They're building a new, I think it's in Iowa or Idaho, one of the two, is where they're building their factory, but they've been putting up pictures of the new factory going up.
Johnny is the best part of Cobra Kai.
Absolutely.
Johnny has gotten his heyday.
Badass.
Me and the kids did a little craft project for Father's Day for Chris. We have this old beat up refrigerator in the garage that he uses. He puts all his banquet in it. And we didn't really have the money to replace it. So we did appliance spray paint, made it stainless steel. And then I put all these
Justice for Johnny.
I put all these stickers on it, and one of them was like, "Don't California my Texas," and Sasquatch. And then I made my own, and I Mod Podged on there, and it was a picture of Johnny, and it said "Justice for Johnny."
We all know Russo was a real bully.
Oh my God. Okay, Ronaldo on Donnerbox. Breda sells replacement stainless steel guide rods and springs for their Series 92 pistols that come with plastic guide rods. Do you recommend this replacement, or would that possibly hurt my locking block on my M9A3 and M9A4?
There's nothing wrong with a polymer spring guide. There's no pressure on that part. You're not going to gain any benefit from putting something steel in there. The only time you ever will see an issue with polymer is in a full auto pistol, for instance, with a Glock, for instance. When we did the full auto Glock 18 and we did, I don't know, 20, 30 mag. We shot the piss out of it, and it melted, and it stopped the gun because it melted. I've with a regular polymer spring guide like in an M9, you will never have an issue with it. I think you're just wasting your money going out and buying a steel one for it.
Any hands on with the MCX Spear? Would trading up with my 716 G2 be worth it?
So again,
Have you had any experience with the MCX Spear?
not the Spear yet.
He said he wants to know if trading up his 762 G2 would be worth it.
I'm actually not familiar with the Spear. I know they just came out with a rattlesnake, and I just did the one on. Yeah, I have to look into that one. I'm not sure which one the Spear is. I have to look into that.
Is a nickel boron bolt carrier group a good one?
It's not one of my favorites. My number one is chrome. Number two would be the black oxide or the nitride. I'm not fond of the nickels at all. Well, yeah, the nickel, the polymer, or, I'm sorry, the nickel one that you put up by MWD is a little bit nicer because it's not the boron nickel boron blend. There's a different material they put in there which it doesn't tarnish as easily. But I'm not really a nickel fan.
I want to build an AR-10 type rifle that shoots 243 Win. Which pattern should I look to build? DPMS, AR-10, SR-25?
Well, AR-10 SR-25 are the same. I would go with that one is because it's a stronger receiver.
I have an MGI Merrick 15, and does the Wyndham Weaponry MCS AK-47 Magwell fit the MGI lower?
Yes. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that video. It's an awesome system.
Which BCG would you prefer for LR308? Platform black nitride, nickel boron, or is there a better finish?
Well, there's the only chrome one that you really will see is LMT Knights, and Young was making chrome 308 ones for a while. I just spoke to them a couple weeks ago, and they are not manufacturing the chrome right now. Um, but I would say the black nitride is awesome. I probably would go with that. There is a company, Santan Tactical's got a really nice 308 bolt carrier group. I've got one of those on the way to do some of my own testing on. They actually are in stock too. It's nitrided. It looks like a very nice design, so I'm looking forward to testing that one out.
Any thoughts on the new Springfield SA35 high power clone?
I am trying to get one. I talked to my gal over there, and she says they don't have enough in right now to get them to writers. I am on the list. I am really, really anxious to get my hands on one of those. It looks very well made. Unfortunately, I can't give you an opinion because I don't have one in my hands yet. But I can tell you, the minute I saw that on the net, I had an email right out to her at Springfield.
On the net. You
Yeah.
can tell how old he is because
Yeah.
he said on the net.
Mhm.
I said today in the car, I said call somebody on the telephone, and my 12-year-old fell out. She told me I sounded like a boomer.
Just like Johnny said, we'll photomat that picture.
Or when he sent the message on Facebook, he was like, "How long is this going to take?" He was like a week, right? And he was like, "No, it's pretty instant." What are your thoughts on the Voltar A5 system? Is it accurately a quality upgrade to the standard buffer system?
It is, but it's more so designed when you're trying to put a 20-inch barrel on a telescopic stock. Is it necessary? No. For that, I definitely would. Um, I have a couple of them. I wouldn't go out of my way to get the A5. The rifle works just fine with the standard systems. Um, you know, uh, I guess I'm not really moved either way unless it's for a 20-inch barrel.
New Colt Revolvers, yay or nay?
Well, to be perfectly fair and honest, I have not seen I had a Python in my hands. I did have a viewer who said they were going to send me one, and they changed their mind. So I'm disappointed because I went out and
Yes, if
got ammo
anyone
for it.
has because I was going to say that tonight anyway. If anybody has a new Colt Python, if you would let us borrow it, it will be. We normally take a couple months to do a gun. I'm very honest and open about that because it takes a while when it comes in and has to transfer through the FFL, and then he has to take it to the
And
range
you
and
can
he
only do
has
it
to
on
do his
Mondays.
testing. and he has to go on a day that's closed, and then we have to do our tabletop filming with it, and then he does, especially if it's a system that he's not, fully aware of or familiar with. He does research, he gathers stuff together, and so it's a long process. It takes a couple months, but if you would please allow us to borrow a Colt Python, it would be much quicker because we would literally just move all of our filming over. I was told that he was going to send it, and then it kind of seemed like it came with some strings that were attached. And Chris had already went above and beyond to get
Oh God,
the
that was
ammo that
hell.
he needed for it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it sounds like if I'm not into dealing with his marketing and publishing business, then he's not going to be letting us borrow guns. Um, that means his blood sugar's high, guys.
For as far as revolvers are concerned, all I can tell you is what I know for a fact. They've had a lot of quality control problems. I remember the last SHOT Show I was at was when they first introduced their Cobras, and they ended up leaving range day because the hammers weren't setting off any of the ammunition. So there was problems with those. There's problems with the frames cracking, and then with the Python, as we know, its inception was quite bad with the triggers failing to cock and having problems. So they have had some severe quality control problems. I expect that those problems have been solved. I have looked at a couple of the Pythons in one of the local gun shops here. It's one of those things where when you say you're bringing back something, you bring it back. If you look at what the Python 2020 is, it's a whole new gun. It has a similar look on the outside, but on the inside, it's all been changed. So you're not looking at a true Python. You're looking at something that has the appearance of a Python that's been completely reworked. So it's sort of can be a little bit deceptive to call it a Python because it's really not.
Which is
Um,
why we wanted to do the
yeah,
video on it, because Chris does have an actual Colt Python
a beautiful
um,
one.
that it came from his father, and we do have a video on that. We did that as a Father's Day tribute to my amazing father-in-law, and the fact that when he found out that his wife was pregnant with Chris, their third and final child, his response to that pregnancy was to go out and
Buy
buy
that
a
gun.
Colt Python. So it was very apropos that Chris, once he passed, received the Colt Python, and it definitely has his home. And
Yeah.
he used to always call, because he gave it to him before he passed,
Yes.
shortly before, and he used to always call up and say, "How's my snake doing?" And then I would tease him and say,
Oh,
"Well,
we
I
sold
sold it
that.
for a handbag," and he'd freak out, and we'd have to send him photos of it because I love to tease him. But yeah, that video will be a good one when and if we can find a modern day Python. Bradley, thank you so much on Donor He left a donation. There's no question. If you do have a question that you forgot, sometimes I know you guys forget to leave the question in the comment section. Just send it to me at hbartacci@smallarmsolutions.com, and I'll pull it in. Okay, I'm not sure if this is where. No, I'm a little bit farther down. Is it normal for my M9A3 to make contact and wear more towards front of slide and barrel and exit point out of slide?
Yes. You have an oscillating locking block, so that sometimes can scrape.
What tier would you put the Caracal Car 814? Would you put it along with LMT, LWRC, Daniel Defense, etc.?
In quality, yes. In features, no. The Caracal rifles are basic M4 configurations. They don't have all the advanced features, the AMI features and things like that. So I guess that would put it in tier two because it's a basic M4. Mechanically, I would say tier one, but it just doesn't have all the bells and whistles and the AMI features of those top tier ones.
Have you ever tried an A5 buffer setup in a 308? In theory, it sounds like it would work with a 6 versus a 7 position tube, question mark.
Um, I'd have to look into it, but I have yet to see a buffer tube and for an A5 or a buffer that would work properly for a 308. But quite frankly, it's never been advertised for use with a 308, so I never really put much thought into it. Obviously, if you had the proper length buffer, uh, in proper length, it could certainly work. But I'm not sure how those work out because I never tried it.
Adnan on Donor Box, thank you so much, Adnan. That was so nice. Relating to the design development of the Colt M4 carbine was Larry Robbins that developed the Colt CM901, involved in the engineering team, and if so, how influential was he when designing the carbine length gas system?
Um, Larry had nothing to do with the carbine length gas system. Colt didn't do anything with the carbine length gas system until more recently. There was a prototype back in the '60s, but never went anywhere. Colt did not really do anything with mid-length gas systems until they released one of their patrol carbines. I forget which model it was. That's the first time that they did it. Larry was extremely influential. If you were to go look at the M4, some of the patents, you'll see Larry's name on there. And of course, he is responsible for pretty much the entire LE 901, CM 901. Um, it's unfortunate that one of the names on that patent was somebody who had nothing to do with it. In fact, somebody who more hindered it than did anything else. But obviously, since he was ahead, he just felt that his name deserved to be there. But that was Larry Robbins is a brilliant engineer, very influential at Colt on all those major programs.
In regards to the Dutch company of AI, artillery,
And Richardson,
well, thank you for that. Even though the company went defunct, but has their influence on the original AR-10 design still carried on or at least revisited today with similar designs?
well, they made the AR-10 that went into the scrap heap. So, but obviously, when it came back, when Stoner looked at it, obviously he looked at his original design because that's what it was based off of. But with the SR-25, they were concerned about having parts commonality with the M16A2, and that's where everything changed. So were scaled down. If you were to take a look at the HK 417 or the MR762A1, if you look at the size of that bolt carrier versus an AR-10, the MR762 is the exact same size as the original AR-10. Everything was scaled down. For instance, just you scaled down the back of the bolt carrier so it would go into an M16 or an M4 size receiver extension. The receiver extension on the original AR-10s was much larger, so everything was scaled down so you could use those parts. So in essence, the original AR-10 that Stoner designed went to A&I, and A&I basically did some refinement work on it, but it was still basically the same gun. Then when Stoner went back to work on it with Reed, now everything was scaled down so it would have the parts commonality. And what we know is today is the AR-10 is the SR-25 pattern, which is the scaled down version. Uh, again, the only company today that's making the same size as the original AR-10 is HK.
Where would the date on a Colt barrel be? CMP 556 NATO 1 and 9 H bar. What would I need to do? Oh, that's a separate question.
Well, when Colt was making barrels in house, if you pulled off the handguard and looked right up behind the front sight base, behind the handguard cap, you would see the month and the year on there. The subcontracted bolt carrier, or sorry, the subcontracted barrels now don't have that. But if you were to have a barrel that was made during the military contracts, that's where it would be. So again, right side behind the handguard cap.
And then he says, what would I need to do to get a book autographed? I'm not sure which book you're referring to. I do sell the signed armors manuals on smallarmsolutions.com. I have a link for that now, which I've stepped up in the world, guys. You can actually click, you don't have to send me an email anymore. You can click on it and, add it and do all that. I need to, clearly I need to add one for collection of writings, volume 1 and 2, because I've had some interest in that lately. We are not taking any Black Rifle 2 books to be autographed as of yet. That may come, later down the road, but we have some other things in the work. So I'm just not taking those right now to do autographs unless we are able to get one in our hands to do any kind of raffle or fundraiser and do it that way. But maybe down the road, but not right now for Black Rifle 2. But the other ones, yes, you can. I don't have those volumes 1 and 2 on the website yet, but you can email me at hbartacci@smallarmsolutions.com if you're interested in those. They are available on Amazon to buy, but they're not signed copies. Obviously, you would have to purchase them through us if you would like them signed. And you have to kind of bear in mind when you order them through us, I have to then order them from them because we don't keep them on stock because it's just really expensive, and you just don't. I could sit here with a bunch of stock invested, and I just don't have the money to do that. Oh, let's see. Wait, Daniel had a question. Let me go back up to Daniel.
Which Daniel? Our Daniel?
hmm If buying a single AR-10, would you go with a stainless barrel for accuracy or chrome line for durability?
It would depend what you want to use it for. If you're looking at it for more of a precision DMR rifle, stainless steel. If you want it as an assault rifle or a combat rifle, you go with the chrome. So you really just got to figure out what you want. Now, I know how you are with your White Castles and stuff, but this is different.
See, Daniel, he knew exactly which Daniel. Because for a
Mm-hmm.
second there, when he said our Daniel, I was like, yeah, our Daniel. And then I was like, wait, he doesn't think that we're talking about another mutual friend that's like Danny that we call him.
No,
See, Daniel, that's how important you are. He knew exactly who you were.
yeah, this is the Daniel that likes those nasty
hmm
White Castle. Oof.
Yep. And we call him our Daniel because he came to our armor school
Yeah,
that we had a few years ago. Did you answer his question?
which one?
Daniel's question.
Yeah, I did. There was one at the bottom there we missed.
Chris, I'm up at the top where we've missed questions. Thinking about a starter AR under AK, but I love my Mini 14. Any suggestions?
Well, I'm not a Mini 14 fan, so for a starter AR, there's a lot of really good ones. The LWRC DI is an awesome one. Caracal's nice. Sig treads are nice. There's a lot of really nice ones out there that you can. They're good starter guns.
Have you seen the issues with the new Springfield SA-35 firing pin retaining plates falling out of some out of spec and heavy tool marks on some? Others look fantastic. Is it just poor quality control?
I am not familiar with that yet. I'm still trying to get my hands on one of the guns. So, for so far as I know, that's rumor. I haven't seen it or heard any firsthand stuff on it. Basically, what that means is the firing pin spring is too weak, and it's the inertia is not coming back, quick enough for it to lock it in place. So my guess is it's just a QC problem with the firing pin spring.
Did you ever meet Eugene Stoner or Jim Sullivan or interview them at some point?
Gene Stoner, I met. In fact, I have a copy of the original black rifle that he signed for me. I met him on a couple of occasions. Now Jim Sullivan, not in person. I've had several phone conversations with him. It's funny enough that one of the interviews that Sullivan did on TV, he had my book on his workbench, which is pretty interesting. Um, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of a lot of big, Kalashnikov. I've met several times. Uzi Gal, Gaston Glock, Ugo Beretta. Um, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of really big designers, people who I look up to.
Why did Keymod lose?
You know, it's a good question because if you look at Keymod versus MLOC, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Um, I particularly like MLOC better. I think it's easier to work with. Um, it allows you to have more narrower handguards. Um, I can only speculate. Magpul had a lot more influence, obviously, than Keymod did. And I think that the rail panels are more secure on the MLOC, is my opinion. I can't really tell you for sure why, but it's pretty much gone. You don't really see too much Keymod left at all anymore.
Any preference for piston ARs between Adams Arms or T91 Wolf?
T91. People don't really realize that the T91 was the first military issue external piston AR, and it long predated the HK416 and everything else. It's a combat proven gun. It served in the militaries, many militaries throughout the world. I saw some of the T65s in Jordan. Jordanian forces had them. I've seen them in Thailand. It's a true combat proven design, and it predates. Adams Arms is commercial. That's never seen any military use. In fact, it's probably one of the more mediocre of them, but it was the first one they put in a lot of conversion kits to. Um, the company had a very bad sale to Pinellas County Sheriff down in Florida with guns that were malfunctioning. So it's had its fair share of issues. But for as far as combat performance and being proven, the T91 hands down.
Do you know if the Marines will be using the VCOG 1 and 8 on the M4A1 or just the M2 M27?
M27. Yeah, there's the M27 is supposed to be used as a light machine gun, which generally that means you're going to get you're going to get a longer power scope for more suppressive fire at longer distances. I don't expect to see those being issued on M4s. They're not part of the TO&E right now, anyways.
Will the Voltar A5 buffer system function in a selective fire Mark 12 SPR while still retaining the ability to use an adjustable stock?
It should. I've never tried it. The Mark 12, as I said, I have tested them on full auto. Um, so that's why I can tell you how, I can confirm for you why those guns were issued with full stocks versus the telescopic stocks. You should be able to duplicate the mass with the A5, so it should work. But you know, I haven't tried it. Theoretically, it should.
Is the SIG MCX the best version of an AR type rifle on the market today?
It's not an AR type rifle. The Sig MCX is a completely different animal. Um, there's no similarities between the operating mechanism or anything. So it's not an AR type rifle at all.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We should see you next week and say a prayer for us while we gear up for JFK next week and get that out to you on his anniversary. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're ready. So.
You guys have a good night. Thank you.